Hey, Cavs fans, welcome to another episode of the Cavs Pick and Roll Podcast, the podcast for diehard Cavs fans. I'm Corey, and I am here with Alex, who disappeared for a minute, but he is back. He's so excited. He's ready to get to the next round of the NBA playoffs as the Cleveland Cavaliers not only sweep, but annihilate the Miami Heat, Alex.
Sorry, Corey, I disappeared there for a minute, just like the Miami Heat did.
You mean like Tyler Hero did? And
got
yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
got banished to the Shadow Realm.
Jeez. What'd you do? Hit a wrong button or something?
I don't know. It just said all snap and everything crashed, and I had to reload my browser, and then boom, I'm back
Wow.
in. So
Welcome to the podcast, Alex.
fear
Glad
not,
to have
fear
glad
not,
to have you
everyone.
with us tonight here. And
Glad to be
yeah,
here.
yeah. So the Cavs, man, they did what they were supposed to do. They swept the team that is, inferior to them, and they did it in style, Alex. We'll get into all the records that they broke. But the first thing I want to ask you is, are you surprised by how that series kind of shook out and how badly the Cavs put the whooping on the Miami Heat?
I wouldn't say that I'm surprised. I mean, I thought there was a really good chance we were going to sweep them. I mean, it's the Heat. They lost Jimmy Butler. They were actually a 10th seed. I think they were the
Yeah.
first 10th seed in the NBA play-in tournament ever to advance to the playoffs. So you had a 1 seed versus a 10th seed, and I am surprised by just how much we kicked their arses, but no, I'm not surprised by the sweep.
I'll be honest, I was not overly. It was slight, but I was slightly nervous about game 3. You just didn't know. You're going on the road. The series goes back to their hometown. It's kind of a must-win game when you're down in that scenario. And Miami didn't come out with any kind of fight. It came out flat, and the Cavs very quickly took advantage of that. And we were just talking, Alex, before we started recording, how I was literally laughing out loud watching that game on Saturday because it was just, ridiculous. And they win that game by what, 37, I think it was. Nothing compared to game 4, right, which we'll get into. But it was awesome to watch that. And even my kids and my wife and stuff like that were just like, this is crazy. The Cavs are not missing anything, and Miami couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I expected them to have more fight, especially game 3, game 4, in on their home court, home, you know, advantage. I don't know. I don't know if I have words for it. It was just like you said, Heat came out flat. They didn't have any fight in them. The Cavs just shellacked them from the drop.
Yeah. Yeah. And, a lot of folks contributed in this game, well balanced scoring. I want to shout out Max Strus, who was working his tail off on both ends of the floor. Gives you 18, 9, and 5. It's a pretty great stat line for Max Strus. You had Mobley and Allen, who the Miami Heat, Alex, had no answer for either one of those guys. Mobley gives you 19. Allen gives you 22. DeAndre Hunter chips in 21. Ty Jerome 13. It just great balanced scoring. And oh, by the way, Darius Garland didn't even play in this game, and Donovan Mitchell had a horrible game offensively. Only had to chip in
Mm-hmm.
13 points, and the Cavs win by 30 plus.
Yeah, I mean, Garland didn't even play. They start Sam Merrill, who didn't make a single
Yeah,
shot.
had a stinker.
Like Donovan Mitchell, 4 for 14. I mean, yeah, stinkers. Our guards were stinkers, and we still completely dominated them. I don't know. It's wild. It's wild to me just how good this team is, how deep this team is. A couple players have an off night, somebody's out hurt, and it's still it's
It
still
it
almost a 40-point win.
Yeah, it doesn't. It really doesn't matter. And again, these games are on national television, so you're getting different. You're not getting the Brad and John Homer, announcers, and they just drool over guys like DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome being on this roster, and basically just saying like what a benefit, what an asset that is to have that kind of production coming off your bench. Two guys who arguably would be starters on a lot of other teams, right? And that is the difference maker because the Cavs aren't relying on one or two guys. They have anywhere from 5 to 7 guys that can go off any night. So, you know, that's a great luxury to have.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love that second lineup that Kenny puts in with Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter on the court together. Those two just feed off each
Yep.
other. It's a beautiful thing to watch because they move the ball. They can both knock down the three. They can both get to the hoop. It's
I
awesome. I
I
love it.
will say early on in the game, Miami did go up a little bit in the very, very beginning of the game. And I am not a fan of no point guard out there running the offense. You have Donovan Mitchell kind of trying to do that. He was struggling. Sam Merrill didn't, like we said, didn't really get to do much this game. And then after that first timeout and Ty Jerome comes in, everything just changed. We were down like 12-4 and we ended the first quarter, I think, being up by 10, if I remember correctly. It was
Yeah.
a hell of a turnaround, and Ty Jerome and just having a point guard out there running an offense, pick and roll, just picking the defense apart makes such a huge difference. And the Cavs never looked back after that. They didn't have to. Um, they also killed the Miami Heat on the rebounds, 46-29, and that's Jared Allen, that's Evan Mobley, that's just hustle from our players. And looking at the assist ratio, 32-18, Alex. 60 points in the paint versus 30 points in the paint by Miami. They you know, just looking at the team stats, not across the board, but they beat them in most categories. And that's the
Every,
difference.
every category that mattered.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the major categories. It was total domination.
Yeah, it was a great thing to witness for sure. Um, what do you think about you know the Darius Garland, Tyler Hero smack talk that was going on because Garland kind of called out Tyler Hero after game two, says or yeah, it says something what I think along the lines of just pick on Tyler Hero, just pick on him, right? Like
Is
defensively,
that what he
that's what he
said?
said.
So I kind of missed it.
Yeah,
Like I heard I read comments like afterward, and I thought that Garland said something about, or wasn't it a reporter asked Garland like what their game plan was or something, and Garland said,
pick on Hero.
"Yeah, pick on
Pick
Hero or target
pick on
Hero or
Hero, and then Hero clap, quote unquote, clap back, and says, whatever he says. And Ty Jerome got involved, and so it turned into a little bit of a thing. And then we didn't find out Garland wasn't playing until a little bit before the game, right? Like that morning, or you started to hear the night before that he was questionable, and that was another reason why I was a little bit nervous. 'Cause I'm like, Garland's talking smack, doesn't even play the game. We're on the road. It's a must-win game. How are the Cavs going to come out? And yeah, within 10 minutes, it was no issue, Alex. No issue.
how did Jerome get involved? I didn't even hear that part.
Yeah, something along the lines like Jerome doesn't even play defense, or I don't know. It turned into a thing, and
Huh.
I don't know
Okay.
if I'm in love with it. I mean, the Cavs backed it up, but when you're 6 foot nothing guys are talking smack, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like this Cavs team. But hey, it's the playoffs, and it's only going to get tougher from here as far as their opponents, more physical, more mental, and yeah, it was just an interesting thing that kind of just came out of nowhere, and people were kind of freaking out when it was announced Garland wasn't even going to play in the game, and then afterwards, when they didn't play in the game and the Cavs win the series, it turned into another thing because the Cavs annihilated the Heat without Garland even having to step foot onto the floor.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't Jerome get into it with somebody else like a few weeks ago? Do you remember that?
I do.
It was some other like all some other all-star player.
I forget who it
Uh,
was, but yeah, it was a couple
yeah.
weeks ago. So
Was it Lillard?
no,
I feel like there was somebody on the sideline he was
no.
talking smack to, and they told him that he's lucky he's on a good team.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
You
about. I
remember
forget
that?
what because we talked
All right.
about it, but it
Yeah.
was a couple
Yeah,
weeks
we
ago, and
talked
I
about it a
forget
few
who
weeks
it
ago.
was. But yeah,
That's
it's
funny.
playoff time, man. It's gonna happen.
It's entertaining when it gets chippy like that.
Yeah,
That's what makes for a good series. You expect the other team to put up a good fight when there's that much chippiness going on.
absolutely, absolutely. So the Cavs then move into Game Four. Um, Alex, this game was even more of a dominance than Game Three was. At one point, the Cavs were up by 60 points in this game. And this game, my oldest, she wasn't sitting there watching. She comes down, I have the game on, and we're killing them in the first quarter. And she's like, "How do they have 41 points? And the other team only has 17 because they only scored 17 points, right?" And then later on into the game, my youngest walks by and she goes, I feel bad for the Heat because they were losing so bad and they were getting eliminated. And I'm just sitting here again laughing out loud, just like this is unbelievable. Every 3-pointer that went down, I'm just jumping up on the couch and just man, this was quite the game to witness, Alex. I don't think I've ever witnessed a beating this bad, even going back to the LeBron days.
It was a boring game. It started out interesting,
Yeah,
and it quickly became, all right, send in the backups before somebody gets hurt. Again, I kind of expected to win
sure.
these game fours. Strong team against a weak team. You kind of expect it. It's either going to be a dogfight or it's going to be over in 5 minutes because you're just going to break the other team's spirit. Why would they want to win one game just to come back to Cleveland and lose game five, right? Like, what would be the purpose of that? That would be stupid. So
Pride.
it doesn't surprise me at all that the Heat took the loss and that we kicked their butts. What surprised me is that they didn't make any effort. That it was just over within the first minute of the game.
Tyler Hero said, "We're not going 0-4. We're not going out like that, Alex." He had a horrible series, by the way. He was horrible. Um,
Tyler Hero, let me tell you, as a Cleveland fan, there's always next year.
there's always next year. There is always next year. Um, but yeah, the Cavs knocked down 22 3-pointers in this game. Again, beat them in just about every category across the board. Jared Allen was an absolute monster in this game. He was flirting with a triple double, had 6 steals, 12 rebounds, 14 points, was just all over the place, Alex. And then you had guys like DeAndre Hunter and Chai Jerome just rubbing the salt on the wound, coming in off the bench, give you 19 and 18, and both guys, man, just doing what they do, and that's all she wrote.
I think Struess had I don't remember if it was at the end of the first quarter or the end of the half, but he had a buzzer beater three from
No, that was
half
that was
court.
Ty Jerome actually.
Oh, that was
That
Ty
was
Jerome.
Ty
Yeah, that's right. It
Jerome,
was Jerome.
and it was like the last, like the game was already out of hand by then, obviously. But even the announcers were like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah, it was a
I,
dagger.
I, I
It was like
I'm like
unnecessary.
rolling on the ground laughing.
I was giggling.
Oh my god, it was ridiculous. And everybody ate in this game. Third quarter, I was a little bit like, why are you playing the starters still? But I get it.
Yeah,
But even when the third string guys came in, Javante Green gives you 11, Tyson gives you 6. Even Tristan Thompson's making a couple buckets out there, grabs 7 rebounds in the fourth quarter, just across the board. Everybody ate good in this game, in a Cavs uniform. And again, the Heat had no answer, had very little production from Tyler Hero. Bam only gave you 13. Wiggins, I was kind of surprised. I was expecting more out of Wiggins in this series. really never got going. And the guy that did the most damage is Jovic, I think is how you say his name. Decent shooter, gives you 24 points in this game for Miami. Um, but yeah, not a lot going on for Miami, and the Cavs take care of business pretty easily.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know about Miami. I don't know what they do in the off season. They're in a tough spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously they got to be deflated right now as a fan base, but as we know, time will pass, and you know, things will look up, especially if they make some moves this offseason. Who knows? But
Yeah, I don't know. That roster's not in a good
it's
spot.
not. It's not. They do have Terry Rozier. You got to remember that. I don't know his contract situation. Obviously, didn't play in this series. Um, K Love is out there, right? We did learn that Kevin Love, the reason why he didn't play in this series, he announced Sunday morning that his father had passed. So condolences to K Love and his family. That obviously makes sense why he didn't play. I was looking forward to kind of seeing K Love out there battling. That'd have been kind of fun to see, but obviously, you know, um, bigger, more important things are going on right now in his world. But it was cool to see a moment of embrace before game four, during the pregame, during the shoot around. K Love was in the building, street clothes, obviously. But him and Tristan Thompson embraced in a long hug, seemed to be talking. And just the way K Love was kind of just hugging Tristan, man, you got to see it. You got to see the video. You got to see the picture. Man, he's just buried in Tristan Thompson. And you could just tell that that's a strong bond, which you love to see, right? As a fan, you love to see former teammates still having that connection, especially, a championship roster. And K Love seemed to kind of wipe his eye a little bit as they broke and he walked his separate ways. So Cleveland fans did right by sharing a whole bunch of love for K Love on social media after that announcement and after that clip came out as well, telling him that you're a Cavalier for life. We love you. Cleveland loves you. All that kind of stuff. And so K Love going through a tough time. Would have been great to see him in the series, but and kind of what happens from here. And I didn't know, Alex, his father played in the NBA back in the day, so kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. K Love made a great heartfelt social media post. It's a lengthy read, but a very worthwhile one. It was very
Yeah,
good,
yeah, definitely,
dedicated to his father's stand.
definitely.
So
So
yeah,
Alex, real quick, there were some historic marks made in this series by the Cleveland Cavaliers. The 55-point victory in game number 4 is the fourth largest uh, victory in playoff history. It is the largest, victory point wise in Cavaliers franchise history, which is pretty cool. Um, the Cavs did set the new NBA record for the largest point differentiation in a playoff series at 122 points. 122. That's crazy. Um, Game 4 was the most lopsided playoff victory in Cavaliers history, um, which previously broke the previous record, which was the game before that, Game 3 at 37 points 2 days prior. Um, the Miami Heat scored 33 points by the half. The Cavs scored 35 points within the first 10 minutes of the game. Like just bonkers stats like that. Tyler Hero was minus 44 in 31 minutes in game 4. This is the worst plus minus any player has recorded in a home playoff game in the play-by-play era. Just again, just crazy, just records set in this series. Cleveland scored 73 bench points in game 4. The Heat scored a total of 83 points in the game. Like, just mind-boggling, right? So, like you said, they were a 10th seed. Cavs are a 1 seed, but still, I don't think anybody could have predicted a victory this large. And with that, Alex, as a team and as a fan base, you're naturally going to be carrying confidence, right, into the next series.
right.
And we just found out tonight, as a little bit before recording this, that we will, in fact, be playing the Indiana Pacers in the next round. And before I get your feedback on that, I just got to throw this out there. I watched the end of that game, actually the whole second half, and went in overtime. The Bucks blew this game big time. This series should still be going on. Giannis had an opportunity to win it in regulation, took a tough pull-up jumper. Okay, it goes in OT. The Bucks are up 6 with under 2 minutes to go, about a minute 45. Let the Pacers get right back into it. And then they were up 6 again with 35 seconds left in the game, and they lose the game to the Indiana Pacers on 2 botch plays by the Milwaukee Bucks. Just a crazy way for that to end. Who knows what the future has in hold for the Bucks, and like Giannis, you can only imagine the rumor mill that'll be starting now with that. But Alex, we do learn that we do indeed get the Indiana Pacers, which should start this weekend. I think Saturday or Sunday I saw will be the first game. And what are your thoughts on taking on the Indiana Pacers?
Well, let me get out my broom.
Oh man, that confidence, that
It's going to be
confidence.
another sweep,
You think
Corey.
so?
Let me tell you
All
why.
right.
Towards the end of the season, our bench played the Pacers, and they barely beat our bench with all of their starters in the game. Like, I'm not worried about the Pacers at all. They played the Bucks. The Bucks weren't a very good team.
No.
They have Giannis and nobody else. That's a one man team. They're gonna, yeah, they've got no chance. The Cavs are stacked. They're not gonna be able to game plan for us at all. They're coming off, you know, they're gonna be tired. We're gonna, it's not gonna be pretty for the Pacers. I'll tell you that.
I'll give the Pacers a bit more respect than that. I
Nah.
think I think this will be a series. I will not be shocked if this goes 6 games. I think the Cavs win it. I think if you watch a game in Indiana as the game was tonight, it is one of the loudest arenas. They have one of the most bought in fan bases. I'm watching this game. They're doing chants in the middle of the game. They're doing this like countdown every time the opposing team is shooting free throws. They're constantly on their feet, making noise. It's like watching a college game almost. It's got to be one of the loudest arenas in the NBA. And, to where like the Miami Heat kind of had Tyler Hero, Bam, and that's kind of it. Maybe you throw Wiggins in there. The Pacers are a little bit deeper than that. They have Miles Turner. They have
Eh,
Halliburton.
you're giving them way too much
I
respect. They got
they
Halliburton
got
and
Siakam.
TJ McConnell. Come on.
TJ McConnell, man,
Get
he's
out of
tough.
here.
He's their
Siakam.
tie.
Siakam's old as dirt.
Man,
Miles Turner.
I think
Get
it's
out of
gonna be
here.
more of a series. I really do.
Dude, Jared Allen and Mobley are going to feast all over Siakam and Turner.
I hope so. I hope so.
Obi Toppin might be able to push him around a little bit, but he's just not that skilled of a scorer. I
No.
mean, it's Halliburton's going to be in the same position Hero was in, where he's going to be trying to carry the load,
Yeah.
and they're going to get shut down. Pacers are going to get shut down.
Well, it'll be interesting again to see because going on the road in Miami will be completely different than going on the road in Indiana, and I'll be interested to see how the Cavs react in that situation.
Yeah, I'll give you that for sure.
If you watch those Heat games, the fan base did not show up to those games, especially Game 4. There was a lot of empty seats there, to where that won't be the case in Indiana. And the Pacers will just, like I said, I mean, they for whatever reason seem to match up. They just match up well with us for whatever reason, and I'll take that into account as well. But I'm excited to move on to the next series. I'm excited to play the Pacers. I think it'll be a good little test before they get to Boston because sometimes sweeping your way through, yeah, it's great, right? You get the extra rest, you have the confidence, and so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden you run into another juggernaut like the Celtics, and the competition level isn't neck and neck to what you just went through to get there, right? So I want the Cavs to have a little bit more adversity. and see what they do and how they react to it and can they get through it. Because again, this Cavs team, the most, last year they had some injuries, they had some adversity in that Orlando series. It goes to game 7, gets to the Boston series, and then injuries just kind of played a factor. You had players that didn't even play in that series right by the end of it. And this group still needs to learn how to win together in adversity, which they really haven't had to experience a lot yet this year. And it might not be the worst thing in the world if that happens a little bit before they get to Boston or the finals and so on and so forth.
I'm gonna counter that. I don't believe that at all. I think they already had their adversity. They had their adversity in the previous year's playoffs. They had the adversity in the year before that playoffs. I mean, the core four has been together now for a few
Couple
seasons.
years now, I'll give you that.
So they've added Ty Jerome and Hunter are the biggest changes. I mean, this team's been through adversity. It's adversity's over. It's time to sweep your way through the playoffs and get a ring.
Yeah, no, I listen. I would love it. I hope it happens. They just got to
I
be.
just want everybody to stay healthy,
Yeah, totally.
keep the minutes down on the starters if we can, like we've been doing. Just keep doing exactly what we're doing. Keep on trucking.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm with you there. Darius Garland, I haven't really heard much on him, but I mean, you get the sense that they just decided to sit him. Like he could, I think he'll be ready to go and play. The start of this Indiana Pacers series. Although you were telling me, Alex, there are idiots online saying Ty Jerome over Darius Garland. Like we don't need Garland. Like
It's Ty
it's
Sanity.
Ty sanity. Sometimes I think we have too much of that Cleveland Browns blood in us. Like all of a sudden now, after the NFL draft, we have another quote unquote quarterback room problem, and now we think we have a point guard problem as well. Like, nah, doesn't
Nah.
it doesn't
Well,
work like that.
remember, the past couple seasons, it was like, can Garland and Mitchell coexist? I mean, that was the
Sure,
storyline. And okay, are we going to move Garland now that we got Mitchell? It's like,
I forget what game it
how
was.
are they existing now,
Yeah.
people? Like,
I forget which game. I don't remember if it was 3 or game 4. It might have been game 4 where they even talked about that. I think it was Doris Burke who called that out, that a year ago at this time we were talking about, can these two players coexist? Hell, you and I were doing that when we started this podcast back when it was Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, and how can they coexist? So on and so forth. It's always easy to kind of, when things aren't going great, to point out stuff like that. But this team has been crushing it all year long. So I don't want to hear that we don't need both of them. Why would you not want to have both of them? There's not many other teams in the NBA that has a backup point guard that can produce like Ty can. So um and he's going to get his minutes either way. It's not like he comes in and plays 10 minutes a game. He's going to get 20, 25 minutes a game in the playoffs. So I'm not worried about that.
so I was trying to find when exactly the next game is, but I'm kind of striking out.
Yeah,
I don't know if you ended up finding it.
no, I haven't found it, but I heard that if the game were to end today, like if the Pacers were to close out the series, that the next series, Pacers Cavs, would start this weekend. So, um, not exactly sure, but I mean, it makes sense. It's only Tuesday. By Sunday, they can
Yeah,
they can start that series. They're not going to give both teams a week off or anything like that.
it'd be nice if it was a little sooner.
It would be, but that extra rest, that extra time to prep, and all that stuff, as Cavs fans, we'll take that too. Um, I guess the last question I had for you is: there anybody on the Cavs roster so far? Like, has anybody surprised you, like surpassed your expectations, or is there anybody that has underachieved in your opinion so far out of the rotational guys that have been playing?
If anything, I think it is. I kind of expected a little more Dean Wade action. Yeah, I think he's just not getting the minutes. Um, Sam Merrill has been a little streaky.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Okoro hasn't gotten as many minutes as I thought he would get. Mostly that kind of thing. Nothing that is all that surprising.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, and for both those last two, like Dean Wade and Okuro, they're in a different spot than they were a year ago, right? And a year ago, they're playing heavy minutes. They were, rotational guys to where they're kind of the odd guys out right now. Yeah, they got some minutes. Dean Wade played 18 minutes in that game four, and it's really a different role for him now. He's no longer starting. He's coming off the bench, kind of behind Hunter. Like Hunter comes off the bench first as another kind of big out there, and Dean Wade can knock down the three ball, right? But you don't really necessarily need him to do that. You need him to guard. You need him to grab rebounds, kind of just hustle, so on and so forth. And for Okoro, same thing. He's just, as of right now, so far in that Miami series, at least this can change. But you know, Atkinson went with the guys he went with. He went with Merrill and Ty and Hunter, off the bench as his primary guys off the bench. And there just wasn't a ton of time or room for Okoro and Wade outside of garbage time.
Yeah,
But as we move farther
even
along with different types of players, I could see both of those guys getting more minutes, especially when we get to Boston, because Boston has more height, and that's where a Dean Wade can play a bigger impact along with the
yeah,
Kuro.
yeah. That's a good point. With the Heat, you're playing mostly small ball.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good deal. Other NBA action going around. I think the Pistons are going to stay alive, Alex. A minute 15 left in the fourth quarter on the road in New York, and they're up 6 right now. So I don't think they're going to get closed out. That series will extend 3-2. Boston and Magic are battling. They just started the third quarter, and Boston leading 3-1. Magic has a 4-point lead. I might watch that game here for a little bit when we're done. It'd be interesting to see if the Magic can somehow extend that series. But yeah, NBA action, other rounds, other series are starting to close out. We'll see if any other ones in the Eastern Conference do as well.
Yeah, the Knicks have been dodging the bullet. Boy, the Pistons have had them on the
They
ropes.
really have,
I
like,
mean, it very easily could have been 3-1 with the Pistons
yeah,
up
yeah.
instead of
Even
the
even
Knicks.
even if the Knicks close out that series, whenever they do, if you're the Pistons, you got to feel pretty good about yourself. And again, outside of Cunningham, they don't have household names, so they're a team to watch this offseason to see if they start adding some more pieces to that team. And yeah, credit to JB, he's got them playing out there and giving New York everything they can handle. It's fun to watch.
Yeah,
All right, Alex. Well, with that, let's go ahead and wrap up this episode of the Cavs Pick and Roll podcast. I want to thank you, Cavs fans, as always, for tuning in and listening. And Alex, let them know where they can follow us and connect with us.
follow us on Twitter at Cavs Pick and Roll. Shoot us an email, cavspickandroll@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr. Watch this episode on YouTube. Click like, subscribe. We'd appreciate it.
All right, Cavs fans, there it is. We will talk to you again soon.
Peace out, Cavs fans.